Somebody spent a lot of time writing up a very long email, very thorough email, asking about some questions on flexibility. Now, I just think that it's, only right for me to make a video response because this person's put so much time into writing that big email. But I'll keep this video response very simple. As far as the questions are concerned, he's talking about all the different muscle groups in the whole body, labeling all these muscles, and telling me if I know all the muscle groups and which muscle groups need to be stretched and all this other stuff. See, that's the part that I really don't agree to. Is when it comes to a lot of times the West, I see that they overcomplicate things that are very simple, and it's not necessary to do that. For example, you got like a psychologist like Sigmund Freud who might write like over 100 books that are like this thick, and he's speaking all these mumbo jumbo language that nobody really understands. It's really not how you're not really helping people when you're just confusing the living nightmare out of them. So my thing is to keep it simple and easy, and to help people understand and to help them progress. And you notice that a lot of videos I put out there, I try not to speak in very fancy words or stuff like that, because it's really not necessary. You know what I'm saying? And in addition to that, it's not really helping my own growth when I'm speaking in another language that people don't understand anyway. So as far as the stretching thing is concerned, I don't really care what all these muscle groups are called. I mean, you can come up with as many names as you want, but what it boils down to is the same thing. It's like, how does your body feel? And are you getting the results that you're looking for? Are you getting more flexible? Are you performing better in whatever activity that you wish to perform in? That's what's important. It's not about what muscle group is labeled what. As far as I know, I barely even know all these crazy labels. But what I do know is, this is the arm, and that's, this is your arm. This is your leg. This is your stomach. This is your lower back. That's your upper back. Alright, this is your thigh. This is your calf. I mean, basic labels is what I work with. And basically what I say is, you want to learn to be flexible by looking at other people that are flexible and figuring out how the hell did you do that? Like, how did you become flexible? And then you figure out what type of training that they had to do to get flexible. Now, some of these people may have just been born flexible. And if they're just born flexible, they're not really helping you much, because it's just something like looking at somebody that has blonde hair and then you're like, oh, how do I get blonde hair? Well, they're born blonde, right? So, like somebody, or you look at somebody that's tall, oh, how did you get so tall? Well, they were born with being tall. But some of it could be like eating better, proper nutrition, and then it gave them a little boost. But fact of the matter is, people that are born flexible, they can't really help you that much because they're just born flexible. But if you got somebody that was not born flexible, somebody that actually had to put a lot of hard work and effort into getting flexible, now that is the individual that can really help you gain greater flexibility, because he knows what it takes to get there. It takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a certain amount of certain type of training. It may even be a certain way of eating, right? So basically, you learn from the people that are flexible and observe the way that they stretch. And the way that I do it is you basically stretch the body in whatever way that you possibly can. Look at all the different ways of stretching and incorporate that into your stretching routine. And when I go through my stretching routine, I pretty much stretch every single way that I could even imagine. But the most effective way. Sometimes you don't really have the time to just go over, like, sometimes you'd rather pick and choose the more effective stretches over the ones that are not as effective, because there's time limitations as far as getting to do other types of exercises. It's not just all about stretching. It's also about, there's a lot of other things you got to work on. So you want to minimize the stretching routine to kind of be done within about a 30-minute period. But if you got all the time in the world, then yeah, stretch in whatever possible way that you can stretch. Stretch every single part of the body. You know, like every little twist and turn makes a difference. You know, pointing your toes, something as simple as that makes a difference. You know, and keeping your lower back straight makes a big difference. Locking out your elbows in a certain stretch makes a big difference. Turning your limb one way opposed to another makes a big difference. So you want to pay attention to the minor details of the people that are trying to instruct these stretches, and you want to follow along every little detail precisely. And that's how you should gain greater flexibility, is follow the details precisely and figure out all the different ways to stretch the bodies. And just think about it. You know, we're all human beings, and we are pretty much given the same things. 2 hands, 2 feet, we got a chest, we got a face, we got a neck, we got ears. We're all built pretty much the same. The only difference is, you know, different sizes, different heights, different weights, but our bodies are pretty much built with the same structure. So if you think about it in that sense, how many ways can you possibly stretch the body? There's not that many ways. So all you gotta do is just watch and observe all these different ways of stretching and incorporate that into your own stretching routine. Now, even simple ones that I've noticed from some videos that I didn't incorporate into mine is just like positioning the hands and using the floor as a way of gaining resistance to stretch the wrists, opposed to just using your own hands manually. So I started to incorporate that into my stretching. There's also like stretching devices and equipment that can help you get a better stretch, like a split machine. In yoga they use yoga blocks. You can also use a strap, like a stretching strap, that helps you gain greater flexibility. You could do partner assisted stretches, right? That is one of the best ways to gain greater flexibility, if you have a partner to help you stretch. Alright, so really that's what it boils down to. And it's just not limiting yourself to any specific way of stretching, but to basically incorporate all ways of stretching and finding out what works best for you. And that's the way I see it, to be like to reach ultimate flexibility. And really, you know, some of the people that specialize in flexibility training, of course the yoga people, they specialize in that, and also the gymnasts. And also at FMK, you know, we specialize in a lot of flexibility training to enhance our performance in what we do. And greater flexibility will enhance your performance in pretty much anything that you plan to do. And overall, it just makes you feel great. You know, it's just something that it's not even about the result. It's just about the way it makes you feel. It just makes your body feel great. You know, the way that I view stretching is like similar to getting a massage, or even making love to a woman. It just makes you feel good. It's not about achieving a certain result. It just makes you feel good. And that really, there's no other reason beyond that. But as far as like performance is concerned, it will enhance your performance in what you do. You know, but people just don't give it enough credit a lot of times. They put overemphasis on strength training and things like that, but they don't put enough emphasis on this flexibility training. So those are my my feedback on what you stated. Like I said, who cares what all this stuff is called? You know, you could call this the hand, or you could call this in Chinese Sao, but it doesn't matter what it's called. I mean, this is just what it is, and how are we gonna make it more flexible? Well, you just stretch it in different ways. You know, who cares what it's called? So I say stay away from all those labels. All it does is just confuse people. You know, you got a lot of intellectual people that they know every single part of the body and what it's called, but okay, they're not flexible at all. They can't touch their toes. They can't do the splits. You know, they can barely move their body, but they know what everything's labeled. What's the point? Who cares what's the label? Are you flexible? That's the whole thing that's important. It's finding out somebody that is flexible and finding out how they got there. And they should be able to teach you how to do it if they know how to do it themselves. You know, that's the primary way of, you know, you want to learn how to do the splits, well, find somebody that can do the splits and see how he does it. How did he train to do that? You know, that's the best way. Finding people that are flexible. And a lot of times, for the most part, most women are naturally flexible. If you find a man that's flexible, typically he had to work hard to get there. And he may know a lot about what it took to get there. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to somebody that's just born flexible, didn't even know why they're flexible. They just drop down into the splits like nothing. Or there's people that don't even strength train at all, and they're just flexible because they have no muscles. Of course you're flexible because you got no muscles. You got no resistance to holding your, you know, your limbs back. But if you find somebody that's muscular and flexible, clearly they had to train really hard to get that balance. But you know, you can easily find somebody that has no muscles that's flexible because there's no resistance coming back at them when they're stretching their limbs. So really, it's not just about finding somebody that's flexible, it's also about finding somebody that really does put the time and energy to get more flexible, even when they have spent a lot of time in strength training. So there's a lot of just a lot of balance involved. You know, you're contracting the muscles as you strength train, and you gotta stretch it back out. It's a lot of training. You know, and not a lot of people will dedicate the time to that. You got a lot of people that do yoga, but they don't do no strength training, no weight training, none of that. They're flexible as hell. Well, that's all they do. They don't do no strength training. Of course they're flexible. But if you got somebody that does a lot of strength training and is flexible, that's double the work. You know what I'm saying? So that's not easy. To find somebody that's strong and flexible is not easy. Find somebody that's just flexible is easy. Find somebody that's just strong, that's easy. Find somebody that's strong, flexible, fast, you know, with endurance, agility, speed, everything. It's not easy because there's a lot more stuff to work on. You know, so that's the gist of it. You know, and I've got hundreds of flexibility videos out there. Go through those videos and find what works for you, and maybe even try to discover some things on your own, because that's what I've done. I've discovered some stretches on my own that I feel are very effective. You know, and I've incorporated that to what I do.